Broken things can become a blessing if you let God do the mending. Welcome to Broken to be Blessed Network, where dynamic women will share their experiences that will inspire, and experiences that have turned out to be a blessing. Now, here's your host, Samantha McNeil.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Broken to be Blessed Network. Go right ahead and hit that subscribe button and tell your friends and your family to subscribe to Broken to be Blessed Network. We are building a great network right here. This evening, I have a group of ladies with me. Even though the journey might be an emotional one, we believe that it is, in fact, an encouraging and empowering one. And we are hoping and we know and we trust that it's going to encourage you and bless you. And if there's anyone who is on this journey or who going through this situation that the mothers will share, I'm not telling you yet. I hope you will be encouraged. At this
Hello.
time, we're going to have Sherene sharing her story and her journey with us. Over to you, Sherene.
Journey began 2012. I was married from 2002. I had a 5-year-old son at the time, and we wanted the next best thing, so we went for another child because we wanted a pair. And lo and behold, it was a girl, and it was like a wedding ceremony because we have a boy, and now here is this nice little girl coming on the way. And first trimester in pregnancy is kind of rocky and so forth. So I have this little 5-year-old, and he was the only one. So now I am taking him into this new process because I'm trying to let him know that someone else is going to be in the picture. And so we talk about the baby and stuff like that. And life was looking good. It was really looking good, looking bright. And second trimester, and we started to buy stuff, and you know this was like a miracle child because the girl is on the way, name was picked out, and we're feeling good. And and something happened. I went to the doctor, and I saw some spotting, and I was like, hey, what is this? However, I went to the doctor, and you know got medication, and that was cleared up. And we said, all right, we went over that hurdle. So here we go. We started back buying stuff and so forth because I was born premature. So I was looking for a 7-month baby. So by 7 months, everything was bought, and nurse was on call should in case of anything, and that was good. Well, the the last trimester was very touchy, very rocky, because I am 5 feet something. My husband is 6 feet mash. So my pregnancies are usually large. My tummy, sometimes when I go to check up, they're like, is this normal or abnormal? So when I bring the father, they said, oh, it's the father because he's very tall. So last visit, I always go to the doctor's office with my husband, but everything is all right. So, but over the weekend, I went, it was a Friday. So that when it's the last lap or the final trimester, you will go every week. So I went the Friday, and I was supposed to go back the Monday, the Monday. But I am very sensitive when it comes to my body. Now every evening when my husband gets home and speak, the baby will run around in my tummy and so forth. And, you know, I would say, Daddy's here and all of that. But I realized that I was feeling a little pain. So I was saying to my husband that, okay, I'm feeling the ningy ningy pain. So probably the child is coming early, and you know, I get my things prepared, and I was feeling some mingy pain. I said, well, if it progresses, then I'm going to move to the hospital. I realized that when my husband came home and he spoke, there was no movement. My tummy just raised and go back down, and I was like, oh, something is not right here. So I called him and I said to him, speak again. Come and speak to the tummy. I said to him, come and speak to the tummy. And he came and he was speaking. But all that happened was the tummy rise and go back down. And, and the thought came to me and I said, no, this, no, no, this, 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 this is not happening. This is not happening. And I lay in bed because I said, all right, let me wait until the morning because it was way in the night. And at the time, we didn't have a vehicle of our own, but we have one on call anyway. So I said, all right. I said to him that, that I think the baby, we lost the baby. And he stormed out of the room and said, no, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Babe, probably the baby is just tired. And I said, but I know my body. And the baby is not moving. It's just rise and fall. Even if the baby is sleeping, the baby should not be sleeping that long. So the next day I went to the hospital, went to my private doctor rather. And when they did the urine test, he was like, I saw the nurse's face look a certain way and she dashed into I was saying, what happened? And she wouldn't say anything. She just dashed into the doctor's office and they called me in and he said, examine me and so forth. But I was watching his face and he started to test all over my tummy. And when I look at, I said, doctor, what is it? But by now I am tense. I want to urinate. I feel weak. I was just panicky. I was on the edge. And he said to me that, I don't hear a heartbeat. I said, you don't what? So who come to the hospital with you? So I said, doctor, I am the only one who always come when my husband is not here. He's not here. I am the only one. And he got up and he just walked around and I said, doctor, come here. Come. Sit. What happened? He said, I don't hear a heartbeat. I said, you said that already. What does that mean? And he got up and he rubbed his head because, we had a good rapport. So, we were both excited for this little girl coming along. And then he said, we need to go to the hospital. We need to go to the hospital. This is not good. This is not good. And all I can remember was I called my husband and I called Sancia. I called Sansa. She was at work at the time. She's a teacher. And I called her and I said, the baby dead. And that was it. Just hung up the phone and I found myself walking on the road, just walking. I really don't know where I was heading. I assume it was the hospital. I just started to walk. I left the doctor's office, just took up my bag and started to walk. And a million questions were attacking me. I was like, oh my God, what is now? What happened? What do? What caused this? And I can remember a vehicle pull up beside me, and it was my brother. And when you look at him, he was not crying, he was bawling. He's coming at the vehicle. Wait a minute, I want to. And he rushed me to the hospital. By the time I went to the hospital, my sister, my mother, almost everybody who knew me reached at the hospital before me. That news traveled fast. And when I burst in, they were asking me if it's delivery. I said, I assume dead baby. And I knew I heard my sisters crying, and my mother came in. Now, she is drama because she was crying on the top of her voice, and she was saying that because I was born 2 pounds 10.5 ounces. So she was crying that make sure then don't make nothing happen to our 2 pounds 10.5 ounces baby. I was weighing more than that by the way. So the doctors came and they checked me and they put me on ward, and everybody just come start checking me the same thing. We don't hear a heartbeat. We don't hear a heartbeat. So I said, all right, that is over and done. We don't hear a heartbeat. Get the child out now. Get it out. What is the process of getting it out? Now, I am a person like this. When I'm in a situation, I try to have a grip on it to a certain extent, not to go insane, especially with a situation like this. So with everybody crying and carrying on, I was there silently praying. I was silently hoping that one of the doctors would hear a heartbeat. Honestly, I was silently praying and hoping. Is it help me to get so the long and short of it, went on ward. I was like a celebrity because I have this huge tummy. Now every doctor that came on for every time, they took me somewhere to check for a heartbeat. And I keep on telling them there is no heartbeat. So just do the next move. And the final thing of it, they came to me on a certain day and they said to me that this is how the procedure, they explained the procedure with a person like me. No, I thought I was going to go to the theater for them to take out the child, but imagine a short person like me with a huge tummy with a dead child that I have to push out on my own. So I was like the celebrity and what people, people walking by sidetracking. I said, come and ask me all the questions because that's one of the ways I dealt with it. The long and short of that part of it is that we went, the day came for them to do the delivery of the child. And I prayed. I got up and I spoke to my father because I believe in him. I believe that he made me and he can take me through anything. So I remember Job, when Job lost everything, one behind the other. He did not sin. He did not curse God and he did not roll over. He trusted God. And I said, God, I am not Job, but I want to be near. I am asking you to hold me that whatever comes, I might be faithful and not sin against you. When the doctor came and she was explaining the procedure to me, and they were all negative procedures, I stopped her and I said, listen, I spoke to my God, and this is how it's going to happen. And she looked at me in surprise, like, okay. And I explained to her that within half an hour of them inserting whatever they're going to insert, I am going to have that child because God showed it to me. And she stopped and she said, you're a Christian? I said, yes, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. She said to me that I want to have faith like you. I said, I spoke to God and this is how it's going to happen. Well, we went through the procedure, and within the half an hour, spotting and stuff like that, I called the nurse that did the examination and she was saying that, no, it's too early. I said, miss, it is time. And she passed me and I called another nurse. I said, it is time, it is coming. And, they were a little fed up. And so she came and said, all right, come let me test you. When she came to test, I was in delivery. I was delivering the dead child. So they rushed me over. They rushed me over. Now, this was one of the hardest things I've ever been through in all my life. As remember, I had a child before. When the delivery started, remember this child is dead, so there's no help. When I started to push, I had like 15 persons around me when I opened my eyes because there were some interns and doctors. People were stringing me up and they were like cheering me on like a football. There was this nurse bending over, pumping me, and a whole lot of excitement. And I have to say, I just when the head came out, I was so beat because the child was big. They were like, push, push. I said, stop. Let me talk to God one more time. I said, God, you promised me that this delivery was going to be over. Do it now. And immediately after giving to grab the baby shoot out. And I lay there and I said, God, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God. Thank you. They were giving me the child, and I said, no, just put her right down. And these were the words I said. I said, because her name at the time was Tiasha. I said, Tiasha, I don't know what I did to make was the breaking point. I I questioned God. I questioned God. I asked him, what happened? What did I do?
Your mic is off, Sherry.
I mean,
Mhm.
what what went wrong? How did I cope? Well, remember I said I had a son. He took it worse than me because the very last thing I bought for the child was a pack of bubbles and clip. So on weekends we would take out the clothes, put in new clothes in the suitcase to carry to the hospital and so forth. So he took it harder than I did. It's a lucky thing I was watching him. The child was about to commit suicide. And I wasn't talking to anybody when I get home. I just locked myself away. That was how I was dealing with it. I wanted to be alone. My family was very supportive, especially my husband. I when I came home, the entire house was changed, turned around. Everything for the baby was missing. I couldn't find anything anywhere. It was like there was no baby. He turned around everything, changed out curtains, just brand.
Wow.
What I did to cope was I I threw myself. I said to him, talk to me. Anytime at all you feel like it's going to get to you, talk to me. So various hours, 2 o'clock in the morning, he would wake me up, he wanted to talk about it. And that's how I helped him to get through to it. I cried, I cried, but then I said to myself, God, you know best. You know best. So I went into nature. I back where I came from originally. There is this old long time building. I often go there during that time and I sat. It was so peaceful because you have the river flowing, you have the trees, you have the birds. So that helped me. I spoke with I spoke with my husband about it. I spoke with friends. I learned 5 new languages. I'm not fluent in them. I learned Chinese, Spanish, French, Papimento, and sign language. I am not fluent in them, but I went into that to get my mind off it. I learned how to sew. I
Wow.
can now sew my curtains, cushions, and stuff like that. My encouragement, trust God. He knows best. Number two, Be at peace with the situation. Do not blame yourself. Do not blame yourself. That will eat you and kill you. Finally, you will smile again because God is able. And He is able because I now have a 6-year-old son after that pregnancy. Back to you, Samantha.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much,
Back to
Sherene.
you.
Thank you so much, Sherene, for sharing that powerful testimony.
Yes, Samantha, back to you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sherene, for sharing that testimony and that journey. Oh my God, God is good. Thank you so much for sharing your testimony with us this evening. I tell you, oh my God. Stacia is an associate psychologist and she's going to be sharing with us the process of grief and also some tips as to how persons can cope during grief. Go ahead, Stacia.
Okay, I can go ahead. So I want to say that it is such an honor to sit here and to hear the stories from these three wonderful women. I must say that they are super strong. And as well, Samantha, thank you for this opportunity as well. But in listening to Terry speaking and Sherene, I really want to commend them because as I have it in my notes, no two persons grieve the same. And we can actually see it coming out in listening to the story. So everyone grieves differently. And it's a personal and it is a highly individual experience. And while the ladies were talking, I was making notes. And the presentation that I had, these ladies would have. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Samantha. All right. So that is a little bit about, everybody have their paper clip? You can move on to the next one. So looking at loss, loss is something or someone, losing someone or something that you care about. Okay, and as we hear from the stories before, you guys did lose somebody, and the emotions that we experience are normally shock, surprise, anger, sadness, and a lot of times disbelief, right? So grieve or grieving, it is a process that reveals your reaction and your personal response to the loss. Yes. And there are some myths that we hear about the grieving process, that the pain will go away faster if you ignore it. That is total rubbish. It's important to be strong in the midst of whatever you're facing. That's a myth. If you don't cry, it means you are not sorry about the loss. That is a myth. And grief should last about a year. Definitely a myth, right? So there are some facts that we want to share about losing someone. Trying to ignore the pain or keeping it from surfacing will only make it worse in the long run. For healing, it is necessary that we face and actively deal with it. And I see all of that coming out in listening to the ladies. Feeling sadness, being frightened, feeling lonely or wanting to be alone, crying, all these things are normal reaction, and it doesn't mean that you're weak. Showing your feelings will help you as well as it can help other relatives that are being affected by the loss. And those who don't cry feel the pain just as deeply as others. And I want us to note that when we have loved ones who are not crying, pay attention to them as well, because they too are hurting. And there is no right or wrong time for grieving. It is a personal experience and a personal response. Next one, please. So the process of dealing with loss or grief, bereavement, we call it. You have two theories. You talk about John Bowlby and Colin Parks. They suggest that we go through 4 phases when we're dealing with loss. The first phase is shock. The second one, where you are longing for, yearning, or searching for that which you would have lost. The third phase, where you experience disorganization and despair. And the fourth phase, where you start to reorganize and you are now recovering or returning to what we call a new normal. That is Mr. Bowlby and Colin Parks. Then you have this lady that most of us are acquainted with. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross says that when we experience any loss, whether it be our health or death or so, we pass through at least 5 stages. These are denial, where we say, hey, this cannot be happening. I refuse to believe that this is happening to me. Anger, why is this happening? Who is to be blamed? What's the reason for it to be happening? Bargaining, you're trying to make a deal. What if I do this? Can I get this instead? I would rather to have this rather than having to deal with the loss right now. Depression, where we are too sad to do anything, whether it is eating, bathing, going out, work, that's a process. And finally, Elizabeth says acceptance. This is where we're becoming more at ease with the loss that we are experiencing, and you are ready and willing to move on to the next phase. So, what can we do when we are dealing with loss? Remember that we are all uniquely different and we respond differently to situations. So you know yourself, you know your personality, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, you know the things that you are able to do. Remember that. Acknowledge your experience. Yes, it's okay. And admit the feelings that you are also going through. Admit your pain. It's your pain. Don't let anybody tell you to shut up or it's about time that you get rid of this. No, it is about you and the process that you're going through. Be patient. Be patient, because sometimes you will need help in the process to work through it, whether it is from your family members, whether it is from your friends, or even a professional. And sometimes you're not to be too hard on yourself, but to know that, hey, I'm going to be patient with myself just as I'll be patient with my young child, right? So don't be too hard on yourself. Seek out real support, not persons who do not have your interests at heart, but genuine persons who would really want to help you. Seek out real support and seek real help. And yes, my darling, you can move on. Some things that you can do that I'd suggest, the writing, the letter writing, whether it is to the individual that you lost, logging of your feelings, or we say journaling, that can help. Sometimes persons, you'd be surprised to know the poems or the songs that comes out of the logging of feelings and experience relating to loss. Be creative, yes? Find some way of letting out, and have a scrapbook if there is, where you create your favorite memory, if it is a case where you want to reminisce on the good experiences. And if so, if you have tried all of those things and it's not working, you seek counseling, seek professional help. So, one final thing, note to self. Grieving is a process. it impacts each area of the individual's life, meaning your physical activities, your physical life is impacted, your emotional, your spiritual life, meaning your faith, your psychological health, right? So it is an experience that affects every alley of you as a person. So you have to also cater to those parts as well. The process is an active one, meaning it is something that you have to work on every day until you reach that level. Build your network of support and know that with time, you will adapt and you will adjust. So can I get did the ladies get the paperclip? May I ask? No? All right, so I wanted us to do an activity in terms of a paperclip. I'm holding up a paperclip. Can you see the paperclip? I don't know why.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a normal paperclip. It is not being used any at all, right? So everything is intact. What do we use paper clips for? To put things in place, not true? To hold in place. See, it's holding the paper together. But think of the loss. Think of yourself as this paper clip. I'm gonna ask you to unwind it. Unwind the paper clip as best as you can. Change the form, change it. Take it out of the form. Totally. I'm trying to make my own. And remember how it was before. Make it as straight as you can. So everybody have their paper clip straightened as best as they can? All right, good. Now try to make the paper clip as how it was before. Make it back. Yes, make it back. As best as you can. You're gonna try to remake the paper clip to its former glory and function. Can I see your paper clips? How perfect is it? This is mine.
I'm unable to replicate.
Okay. Oh, you're not unable. Anybody else have a paper clip?
Oh, I don't have one.
Okay. So this is my paper clip, and I see Terryann's paper clip. Terryann, tell me something. Is the paper clip the same as before when you try to make it back?
Well, no, definitely not.
Okay. All right. So think about the paper clip before. The perfect paper clip, your life before you had that experience. Not true? The life before you had the loss. Everything was in place. But that loss now had to straighten out the paper clip after you have had the experience of losing your baby. That is the straightening out process. That is the unraveling of the real paper clip. Not true? The experiences, the pain, the anguish, the anger, the shock, the disbelief, that is how it changes the paper clip.
Right.
But you had the courage, and the other ladies too had the courage and decided that eventually they are gonna move and try to work. That is how when I asked you to try to make back the paper clip, it is the reconstructing process. You might not go back to the perfect person who you were before, but you are now a new individual with new experiences, new capabilities, and you have that experience where you can share and empower. But had you not had that experience of loss, would you be able to help and do what you're doing right now?
No, not as if.
But when it was happening, could anybody tell you differently that this day would come when you would have adapted and adjusted and become stronger even though you had the experience?
No, they could have told me, but there's no.
Awesome. And that is what I want us to remember tonight, that loss is real. The process of grief is our response and it can be painful. But as Terryann says, it comes right back to your faith and knowing that. And I think Sherene says it, hope. There is hope. There is hope. So no matter what, just trust God and get the support that you need and move right along. Thank you, Samantha. That's all I have to share tonight. So if anybody have any questions, don't be afraid to ask.
Thank you so much, Stacia, for that beautiful presentation. Thank you so much.